All right, sir. So we can start the session.
Okay, cool. Um, Let me share my screen. Just a second. Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So yesterday we talked about many other physical aspect of the thing, and we revised few things like how the topologies are, how the connections are going, what is Ethernet cable, right? And we also checked how the connections are made. What are the different kind of connections? We have Ethernet cable, we have crossover, we have straight through, inside. And also we have copper, the fiber cables, two different types of fiber cables, single mode, multi-mode, and then uses, right? So now let's see. We have in our networking environment, we have around typically we have 2 to 3 segments of devices. One is like we have routers, which handles all your um, you know packets, IP packets. We say in networking terminology, IP packets. It takes care of it. Now we have the layer 2 switch, which takes care of the switch level aspect of it. So there are only two types of networking devices that have. One is a layer 2 device, the layer 3 device, and few devices are capable of handling both. But in some situation, you need to convert those terms. So those are there. Now, in any of the device, there are one specific thing that is very important. That is a MAC address. So in the uh, MAC address, what do you mean by MAC address? No, it's nothing but it's a unique identifier of a device. No, now everyone has a name, right? That's a unique name. Okay, maybe Vivek is my name, so that identifies myself, right? So likewise, for every device, there is a unique MAC address which is unique to you. It's similar to um, much easier way to tell is like Aadhaar card number. So every person has an Aadhaar card number which is unique to that specific person. No one can use that Aadhaar card number and impersonate anyone else, right? So similar to that, MAC address is an Aadhaar card number for the device. Now, what is a MAC address? It is a 48-bit address. Okay. So what do you mean by 48-bit? So in the next session, so I'll tell you more in detail about it. So ideally, if you take any device, right, whether it is a phone, whether your laptop or any device, you will see something mentioned like this, um, MAC, mentioned as MAC, and some alphanumeric number will be there. No, 12-digit numbers will be there. 12-digit alphanumeric values will be there. That is the MAC number. Okay. Now, in that, as we say, right, these will be no. Here it is mentioned as MAC address is a physical address which identifies each device on a given network. To make communication between two network devices, we need to have IP address and MAC address. So we need to have a network interface cars. So these are the aspect of it. Now, most of the people will be knowing what is network interface card, right? So it's just an address, as I mentioned, which has 12 bits, uh, 12 digits altogether, and total size of that will be 48 bit. Okay, so each bit will be each segment will be of 8 bit. So here we have an example of this MAC address, right? So we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 digits are there, right? So in that 12 digits, first 24 bits, or we can say First 24 bit is what? So each octet or each segment, you can call it as 8 bit. So, in this point, so 00 will be 8 bit. Again, 0A, that will be 8 bit. 95, that will be 8 bit. So that all these will be 8 bit. Okay, now you add up all this all these values, you will get around 48 bit. That's the total size of that MAC address. Okay, so this MAC address will be burned into, or this will be is like imprinted on the devices, and this is unique to it, and you cannot change the MAC address until unless if you are a good hacker, you can mask the MAC address, and you can know try to do a hacking based on that. That is also possible, but physically what we have is this MAC address are unique to that specific device alone. Okay, now it says that organization unique identifier. So what it means is like, so who has created, who is the manufacturer? It is actually to identify who is the manufacturer. So each manufacturer will be having its own unique number. Okay, so it says as 24 bit, out of the first 24 bit is used for OUI, organization unique identifier. So first 24 bit, so 8, 8, 16 plus till here, this will be identified as the unique unique identifier for a company. So 000A95. This will be a MAC address for what you say, a device. Now I'll just share you in real time how it will look like in our sorry, not this. So as I said, each device has its own MAC address. So in that case, if I try to open my, sorry. Okay, so here if you see, right, there are so many MAC addresses here, right, which is mine. So these are all the MAC address of this device. Okay, so let me see which is, so when you say, so there are physical addresses, no, these are transport addresses. So transport ideally means that, okay, some kind of wireless or Bluetooth media. Okay, so that's what it means. Let me see. I'm just trying to verify with my laptop what exactly is the MAC address for this one. So have you ever guys noted that you have seen MAC address of this device in your laptop, and you're trying to have thinking what exactly this mean? Anybody knew about this one except Basava? Other people in the class who knows about this thing? Have you ever encountered? Hello, everyone? All are on mute. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, I mean, most any of the guys who are, okay. So I can see, one answer is nope. Okay. So no worries. So ideally, what it means is, right, these are the MAC addresses generally mean that, as I said, it's your unique identifier for your device. So when you give a get MAC, or let's see, I give another one, IP config, right? So here you see, you can see few things, right? Where is it? Where is it? It's not here. Okay, no worries. So here we have one MAC address here. So this is ideally mean this is depicting its MAC address here. Now take a note of this command get MAC for Windows, and it is something else for my, I think for Apple it is very difficult, different I think. First thing is like just get hold of this command and IP config, right? So this maybe when you are trying to get your first interview session, they might be asking how you're trying to identify what is the MAC address, or what is the IP address of a device. If you put IP config, you will be able to see the IP address here and everything. Okay. Now, so any questions, anybody? Yeah, I have got an answer here, IP config all, when it's been a while for me. Let's see. Yeah, thanks for that, Vinay, for giving me that info. Even I was thinking what was the actual command. Thanks for that. Yeah, so here if you see, right? Yes. So hostname to device hostname, can ignore all these things. Physical address. So here it is mentioned physical address, right? This is the MAC address of this device. Okay. Now, uh, so for each wireless LAN, there is a separate set of MAC address. Right? So this is basically for each network interface card that you have, there will be separate MAC address. So same ways for router as well. There will be routers and switches as well. There will be a physical MAC address. Okay, that is for device alone. And when you have interfaces connected, right, there will be multiple interface where you plug in the cables. You will be having a separate MAC address for that as well. Okay, but all will be identified as MAC address for that device. Okay. Now, what we'll see is there is one interesting tool I'll show you, with which you can identify which uh, brand it belongs to, or which OEM it belongs to. Okay. Now, sorry, it's not getting copied. Okay, 1 second, where it is. Okay, so I hope it is format is correct, I think. Let's see. So there's one website called Mac Vendors where you can identify what actually the um, device is of. So let's see. Okay, I'm pasting this one here. I just want to copy something with my keyboard here is having some problem. Paste is not happening. Okay. Yeah. So as I said, right? So when we put here, we'll get to know what is the MAC address, what the MAC address in this column. We'll get to know which is the OEM. So ideally, what it means is you will get to know this is something when you're working in your real time scenario. You are working in any troubleshooting and you want to identify what is the other thing connected to, and you're learning the MAC address. Now, in that case, what you'll do, you can just log in into this website. You can put the MAC address here and get to know what exactly it is. Okay. So this is one way to figure out what is, what actually the device is. Okay. Or who is the owner of that device. Owner as in the, what you say, the actual OEM for that device. Okay. So we talked about MAC address. Now, what is the use of a MAC address? Now, we also talked about network interface card. Network interface card is nothing but it's like you are having an additional interface wherein you can get connectivity, right? So each network interface card has its own MAC address. So just make a note of this one. Okay. Now the interesting thing is that people interviews might ask, since you're freshers, most of them will be freshers, they might ask, what is the or how much bit the MAC address is, what is the length of this one, and how much each octet, what is the size of each octet. So just be mindful of this one. We have 12 digits each, although each octet will be having 8 bits. So 8 plus 12, 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus till 12, you will get on 48 bits. So that's the total size of that MAC address, 48 bit. Okay. Now, same as now we know that MAC address is typically kind of an Aadhaar card number of one of a person for that device. Now, another thing is that IP addressing. So in the call, if anyone can open up and let me know, what do you mean by an IP address and what is the use of an IP address? Anyone in the call? Basava, we have more people today. I'm expecting everyone to participate actively on this one. Sisha, I see you're very quiet. Hello. What happened? Everyone is so quiet.
Hello.
Yes, Sisha. What about also just asking you, what do you think an IP address is? What is the use of an IP address?
IP address, it is a like which device is location of your device on the network.
Okay, location of location. Okay, anybody else? Any different answers? Basava, do you have any different opinions? I have Anil here. Anil, Karthik.
Yes, sir. It's like a unique identifier in a network, like an address for a device in the network.
Okay. So, all right, that's it. Addition plus one answer here. Now we have Karthik. What is your opinion on this one? Kannan, Ravi. Okay, nobody is okay. Um, Anil, so what you said is correct. So it's like, unique identifier of a network, right? So it's like, you want to
Also
read
it's
some,
communicating.
I'm
It's
sorry.
also communicating with through the network IP address. It's a internet protocol, right?
Correct. So,
And
for
transferring data from one source to another destination.
correct. So, we have MAC address, but with MAC address, we cannot communicate with each other because it is something standalone or present within the device alone. Okay. Now, what is the use of IP address? As Basava said, it is, and Anil said, Anil is a no separate. It gives a separate identity within the network. Now, Basava is saying that it will help us in communicating. So both the answers are correct. So it is like if you want to communicate to a device, you need to have an IP address, right? So with the help of that IP address only, you will be able to uh, communicate with that XYZ person. Okay. So as I shown here, I'll just show the live example here. We have IP address. So we can see here we have one IP address 192.168.221.1. We have subnet mask here 225.225.225.0, right? We have a DHCP server here. We'll talk about this later on. Okay. Now, as we see here, anybody in the call, can anyone tell me what type of IP is this? We know that these IPs are to communicate. So if we need to communicate, if one device has to communicate with other device, we need to have MAC address and IP address, and IP address is the one that helps in communication. Now, think of it, what is the use of this IP address? What kind of IP address is this? Anybody in the call?
Private IP. Private IP.
Private IP. Okay, Ravindra said dynamic IPs. Yes, true. That is also correct. Vinay is also saying private IP. That is also correct. It is private IP. Now, can you tell me what is the difference? What is the uniqueness of this private IP? I'm expecting an answer. Sisha, Vinay. Dynamic IPs changes time to time. Yeah, that's true. That is dynamic IP because it is getting from a DHCP server. That's the reason. But ignore that part. But okay, Vinay is saying that these are reserved IP and free of cost, right? So that's also correct. But the main important factor of this IP is that it is a private IP and we can use it within our environment only. And okay, these are not routable. So not routable as in uh, only you can the free of cost IPs you can use it in your environment, but if you deploy it in your outside network, okay, you can't do it. Okay, so ideally IPs are of two types. One is private and public IP. Okay, so private IP and public IP. So as mentioned, used with LAN or a network. Private IP not recognized over an internet, assigned by a local LAN administrator, unique, only in LAN, free of charge. So these are all the specification of a private IP. Now, what is public IP? So as I mentioned, can a public IP be used in a private network? Is it possible? Or should we be doing it? These are all interview questions. So that's what I'm specifically asking is can public IP be used within our local network? What do you think? Srisha, Basava?
I think we can use public anything within private, but there are some other process which we need to follow.
I'm sorry, you got broke in between your
Yeah, sorry, I do have a lot of disturbance.
right. So as I'm saying, you can use your public IP in your private infra, but the only thing is remains within your infra. But ideally, that's not a best practice. Okay. Now, your device will still be able to communicate within your. So let's assume my device. I'm configuring one public IP, okay, of this segment, 9 dot something. I'm just keeping that IP, okay. Now, within the LAN, I'll be able to communicate, okay. But still, if you need to go outside, right, you still have to purchase. You still have to purchase one public IP. So that's how it is, okay. Now we know that there are two sets of IPs. We have private IP and public IP. I hope if some interviewer asks you this question, you will be able to answer these questions, right? What is public and what is private? Okay. Now there is one more. Okay, I'll in the troubleshooting aspect, I'll come on to later. Let's identify what exactly an IP address mean and how things are working in the environment. Okay. So ideally, we have around on private. Let's focus on the private IP part. We have three sets of classes. Okay, we have class A, we have class B, we have class C. Okay, now usually all these IPs ranges, right? You see class A, class B, class C. You can use it in your private environment. Use anything, that is fine. Okay, it will work. Now in each IP address, right, there are two parts of it. So let's see here. We have 192, 168, 221.1, right? Four are there. Now, down below, if you see, right, there is one thing called subnet mask. Anybody knows what a subnet mask is? The call. Ravindra, Vinay, Srisha, Basava. Come on, guys, you can be more vocal.
Yes, actually, it is the final ending point of an particular IP or something.
Final ending point. Okay. Ravindra is saying that particular range. Range, okay. But still, I'm expecting more answers. You can connect only 255 to a device. Okay. Okay, no worries. Now in an IP address, right, there are two segments as mentioned here, right? One is network, one is host. Okay. Now what do you mean by a network? Network is like your postal code, you'll be having one primary postal code. Let's say you're in Bangalore and I'm staying in Sarjapur. So Sarjapur will be having that entire area will be having one pin code, right? So that defines that pin code is associated to that specific area. Now inside that there will be many houses like 01, 02, 03. Many houses will be there. So host defines what? That unique host. Now here in this case we have 192.168.221, that is the network, and one is the host. Now can you tell me why I said like 192.168.221 is the network and one is the host? Can anyone explain on this? Don't worry if it is right or wrong. We are here to improve our knowledge. So any answers is fine. On to the point. Okay. So I want you guys to be vocal, and then start asking questions on this one. Dividing IPs into small groups, not more than that. Okay. Dividing IPs into small group. Somewhere near to that, but okay, no worries. What I'll do is I'll share another I have another this one. I'll share that. Okay. Should be having somewhere here. It is there. Let's see where it is. Okay, no worries. We'll use this one. Where is it? The subnet mask. Okay. Let me open my paint and we'll have a quick check. Okay. Just want to explain that in an easier way so that you can understand it much better. So as we said, 192.168.10.1. Okay, that's our IP, and we mentioned that this is our network and one is our host. So the reason why I'm explaining it this way, I just want you guys to know why we came to this conclusion that till 10 it is network, and after that one alone is the host. Okay. So okay. So in subnet, right? So actually what subnet helps in doing is it helps in segregating which is the host, which is the network. Okay. Now in our case, we know that 192.168.10, we have, these are all network. The reason uh, um, you said like, okay, 255, 255, 255, that is the reason because it is having this. So why is that? The reason is when you have subnet, right? So each octet, IPv4 has around, so as similar to MAC address, IPv4 has overall 32 bit of size. Okay, so each bit for, let's assume for this one 192, it will be of 8 bit size. Okay, each octet. So all this we call this as one octet. Okay, now 168 we call it as another octet, 10 we call it as another octet. Okay, so each octet likewise we have around 8 bit. So when you calculate 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, how much it is? 32 bit. That's the overall size. Okay, now in this case I have a subnet mask of this IP has a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, which we saw just now. We saw in our output that 255.255.255.0 is our subnet mask. Okay, now what does it mean? Each octet 8 bit, it can carry a maximum of 255. Okay, so if you are getting confused, pause me and let me know, because it's very important. It will, if you understand this only, moving forward you will be able to catch up with the rest of the things. Okay, because we will be there'll be times we'll be discussing based on this troubleshooting aspect, as that's why I'm asking. So open up. So here we have 255, 255, 255.0. Now first thing we need to identify is that why it is 255. Okay, so are you able to see my screen, this paint? You're able to see my paint screen, guys? Hello?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, you're good. So as I mentioned, like 255, 255.0, why it is 255, right? So for that, let me open my other this one, or it is mentioned specifically. For that, we need to understand what binary is. Okay, so has anybody knows what is this? I have given number 128, 64, 32, 16, 8. Anybody knows what this mean? Srisha, Basava? No, all are so silent. Decimal coding. Okay, I want you to calculate all this number and let me know how much we'll be getting. And if you're not able to speak, probably I'll be expecting an answer on the chat. Okay, we have Ravindra who is saying it is 255. What about others? Are we on the same page here? So we have 255, right? So when we calculate 128, 64, let's have the calculator turned on just for, if, or just to avoid any kind of confusions. So we have what? 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. We have 255, right? So as I mentioned, 255 is the maximum an octet can achieve. Okay, 255 is the maximum it can achieve. Okay, now we understood that each IP has 4 octets. No, what is octet? No, or each segment which is segregated by a dot, those values, that's octet, each octet. So 192 is one octet, 168 is the other octet, 10 is the other octet, and 1 is the other octet. Okay, now each octet has maximum of 8 bit size. So 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, that is 32. Now each octet can have a maximum value of 255. Okay, now so in this case, in our example, we have 255, 255, 255. Okay, that defines the network of this specific IP. and .0, that is the last host number. So let's assume if we have another IP with, I'm just sharing, we have 10.1.1.1, okay, and I'm using 255.255.0.0. So what will be the network? What will be the host in this case? Can anybody tell me? We have the whole IP here 10.1.1.1. Okay. Now I have the subnet of 255.255.0.0. I want you to confirm. Ravindra is saying 10 will be the network. Okay.
10.1 will be the network, hoping.
Okay. Who said that? I'm sorry. Anil or
No, it's
Karthik?
Karthik.
Yeah, you're right. So Ravindra, it's not like that. As I mentioned, if you see in any IP, the subnet is like, 255, 255, 255.0, where you see the entire value is of 255 till that octet, that becomes the network. So in this case, in 10.1.10.1.1, our subnet is 255.255.0.0. Okay. Now that means we have two full octets, that is 255.255.0.0. That means in this case, our network will be this one. Okay, 10.1 will be our network. Hope this is clear for everyone. A thumbs up will be appreciated for me to go to next part of this one, because this is something very important. That's why. All right. So now we understood what is subnet, what is IP, right? Now in this subnet itself, there is you can, as I mentioned, right, this subnet, we can have a separate notation as well. You can see for this one 255. Okay, I'll just type it here. 255.0.0 will be /8. Okay, 255.0.0, sorry, 255.0.0/16, 255.255.255.0 will be /24. Now let me see why. Tell me why it is like the notation is /8, /16, and /24. Can anybody tell me why it is like this? Why it is /8? Why it is /16? Why it is /24? Can anybody tell me on this?
Because those are calculated in the number of binary bits.
Correct. So you're correct on that part. 8-bit. This octet is of 8-bit, right? This octet is of 8-bit. So we have /8. For the next octet, we have another 8 plus 8, that is /18. For the last octet, we have around 8 plus 8 plus 8, that is /24. Right? So that's why it is, the notation is like that way. Okay. Now if someone says 10.1.1.1/24, okay, so what will be the answer for it? What is the exact answer? It should be 255.255.255.0. Okay. Now is this point clear? Correct. Yep.
So one question.
Yep.
So, for example, if I configure multiple devices in a network, and then if I by mistake put a wrong subnet mask, will it communicate? For example, first device I put 192.168.10.1, 255.255.255.0, and then I put 192.168.10.2 with 255.255.0.0, for example. Is it relevant in the communication that that it will create a problem or something?
There are two answers for it. One answer is it will work, and the other answer is it will not work as well. So I'll have to explain that in detail, but as time goes, I'll be able to explain. Maybe in the last 5-10 minutes, if you stay on the call, I'll explain it. But in general, I'll tell you what if ideally if a device has to communicate with other device, it should be in the same subnet. Okay, so that's the primary condition for the device to communicate with each other. Now, whether if you're using any protocol or anything, there will be situation if there will be situation if the IPs is overlapping. Okay, in that case, it might you might be able to communicate with that device because it is because there is super netting that is happening because there is a route summarization that is happening. Okay, so because of that, you might be able to communicate with it, but not necessarily that will be the case. Ideally, you should be having the same subnet. The reason is when for the folks who are new, just don't take this in the moment. I'm just explaining for Anil alone. So when we have a switch, right, and so a switch is trying to communicate with one IP with a host, which is 192.168.10.1, and the other end it is 10.2. Okay, now we have we only have IP address configured, and all are in the same switch environment. Okay, similar like we have a switch here, right, and we have one guy sitting here, we have another guy who's sitting here. He's trying to communicate with person 1, person 2, and by mistake 192.168.1.1 is one person's IP. Okay, now the other one is 1.2, but this guy we have a /8 configured, /24 configured, but here it is /8. Okay, now what will happen is when the device is trying to communicate, first thing it will have an AND operation. Okay, so what is an AND operation? I mean, there is a you guys know, right? All the networking components work on zeros and one. Okay, so in that case, what will happen is it will try to check what is the subnet of this. Then it will identify this a different subnet. It will not communicate with that. So ideally, in this case, it will not communicate. Okay, so the other reason what I'm saying was like you have multiple IPs in an environment. Okay, you are trying to supernet it, and you have a route summarization that is happening. In that case, probably you will be able to communicate. It depends on how the architecture is. Anil, is the answer understandable, or was I able to give a justification for your question?
Is it like if it's just say layer 2, for example, just like a switch, it will work, and if there is routing, it will not work, something like that?
No. For the switch, it will not work. But if it is a routing, then it should ideally work. I mean, it depends. Okay. When there is a layer 3 involved, probably because there is a concept of summarization where what you're doing is that you're collecting chunk of small subnets, right? And you're making a much bigger subnet and then advertising it to your network. So in that case, it will work. So, but in layer 2 perspective, where you have end device connected and you have a gateway, default gateway also mentioned, in that case, it will not. So the best answer is it will not communicate. Okay. Now, when you go to layer 3, there are certain concepts. At that point of time, you will think, okay, why this differently? Because it is a fact that there is a route summarization that's happening. But ideally, it will not communicate. Does that answers your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions? Because this is something confusing part. That's the reason I'm just hanging in there. Like you can.
Sir, I do have a doubt regarding that. So,
Yep.
by the real time, you are saying that until we do not get any issues, it will be communicating, right? That's it.
Not like that. What I'm trying to say is the first rule is that if you have two different computers, okay, just ignore what I said. Now listen to the way that I'm saying. You have two different computers, they want to communicate with each other, and you have a in a LAN environment. Okay, so if they want to communicate, they should have a subnet, and that is subnet should be matching. If subnet is different, that means that's a different segment altogether. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now for example, what I'm trying to say is, now /24 is /28 has so many IPs. Okay, in that you are trying to segregate each IPs based on /16 /24 this one and all. Okay, so what will happen is that what you're trying to do is you're distributing these IPs to some other people for some other users. So that becomes a totally different environment there. It's like you have a house, you are trying to segregate each house. So for each room, you have segregating house based on rooms. For each room, you have an subnet assigned. Okay, so maybe for 192.168.10.1/24 segment will be for one room. There will be some other subnet for other room. So likewise, you are assigning, you're giving a subnet to that, and you don't want people in that room to communicate with that other room. Okay, so for that reason, ideally the communication should not happen. So that's what is happening here. So when you're assigning a subnet of different subnet, what will happen is you will not be able to communicate with other people. That's how it is. Okay, different subnet, you will not be able to communicate with each other. Okay, until and unless you have a routing enabled. Okay, in that case it will work. Inter-VLAN routing, there are so many concepts are coming in the background, so that's why just think it this way, pretty straightforward, that if the subnet is different, the device will not communicate. Simple as that. Okay, as the time goes, we are digging deeper onto our environment, then we will come to know why I said this one and the reason why it was. Okay, so I hope it is clear now. Basava, I'm sorry, Karthik.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
So for everyone, subnet has to be same for each device to communicate. If you have a two different subnet present in your system, it will not communicate. You can do it live environment. I mean, what you do is you have Wi-Fi at your home, right? You manually add IP address and then change the subnet. Okay, so let's assume we have 10.1 and 10.2. Now for 10.1 you assign 255.255.0.0. Okay, that is /16, and in other one you apply 255.255.255.0 and see whether it works or not. Okay, it will not work. The reason is this. Okay, all clear on this part? I want everybody to be clear on this part. That's why. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. All right. So now we know what is an IP and how many octets do we have in IP. We have 4 octets total. It is 34 bit. Each octet has 8 bit. Okay, now how we are differentiating that with the help of subnet. Okay, now tomorrow interviewer will be asked, okay, I have this IP and what is network and host and what is the use of a subnet. Then you should be able to say that subnet mask is to identify network and a host. Okay, so this part is clear. So let's just move to the next session. So ideally IP addresses, right? We have around IPv4 is there and IPv6 is there. Currently we'll focus on IPv4 only. IPv6 we'll talk last, because if you study both together, right, you will be confused. So we'll focus on IPv4 and then we'll go to the next part. Okay, now we discuss about that this network and host, right? Okay, so in IPv4, right, we have 5 classes. Okay, for private IP addressing. So we'll focus on the private IP part. The reason is that public IP is something that you will not get on a regular basis. Okay. Only you're buying it and the company will buy it, they will have an IP address of their own. It's generally that you don't play with that public IP. But private IP is something that you will be time and again you will be working and you will trying to troubleshoot. So it is very important that you are very much familiar with this type of addresses. Now, as the slide says, we have class A, class B, class C, class D, and class C. So let's understand what these are. Okay. So ideally, class A means for each IP address that is starting from 10.0.0.0 till 10.255.255.255. Okay, that is a class A. Okay, right. Now, what about class B? It starts with 172.16.0.0 and then 172.31.255.255. Okay. Now, class C, you will be having 192.168.0.0, then till 255.255. I want you guys to memorize this one. It's because every interviewer will ask this question. But what is a class A? What is a class B? What is a class C? So these things they will ask. Okay. That's why if you want to take a screenshot of this one, you can take a screenshot and memorize yourself for this class A and class B, class C. Okay. So class C is something you will be working more often. Okay. But all these IPs are very important. Just have a look. Okay. I hope you are taking the screenshot. If anybody has not taken, let me know. I'll wait. Okay. Cool. So let's move to the next slide. Okay. So just don't worry about this 127 loopback address. I'll tell you about it. Let's see what it means. Okay. The class D. Okay. It is the multicast address. Okay. You can, for now, what is use of a multicast address? I'll tell you about this one, but just focus on B, C, A, B, C. Okay. And the loopback address I'll tell you in the upcoming slides. I'll use the other slide, that will be much better. Okay, so before we go to that, I'll just give a brief of what this bind, how it is like, how we are trying to understand or how we come to this conclusion. I'll just show you. Okay, so I just mentioned, right, we have binary numbers here, 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. So these all together, club together, it is what we call as 255. That is for each octet. We discussed that, okay? Prior to that, just memorize this one. I'll share you this screenshot, right? And operation is, so you might be knowing this, right? Just only for and or operation, just make a note of this. 0, 0 is 0, 0, 1 is 0, 1, 0 is 0, 1, 1 is 1, okay? And similar, it's like you're multiplying it. So guys, you are aware of this one. If you're not, let me know. I can have a quick explanation for this one. Anil or Rahul, Karthik, are you guys okay with this, or should I be
Okay,
explaining
sir.
this one?
Okay, thank you.
Just for reference, I'm just telling you, and an or operation is something that happens in our networking device. It happens on oftentimes. Now, what this means is, if you have if you have point A and point B, if you had two values 0 and 0, it's like you're multiplying it, you will get 0. Okay. If you multiply 0 into 1, it is 0. Okay. 1 into 0 is 0. Similarly, for all the values, if point A is 0, other point is A, the output will be 0. Like if other point is 0 and other one was the next point is 1, it will be 0. Only in case 1 and 1, it will be having 1. Okay. In or what it is, you're just adding it up. Okay. If point A is having 0, point B is 0, the output will be 0. Same way, if it is 0 plus 1, it will be 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 1, it is 1. Okay. Just be mindful of this one because upcoming slide we'll get to know more about this. Okay. Now, we have, so for each binary, so when you are trying to understand about IP address, you need to know about how the binary conversion is happening, because based on the binary conversion only, you are able to identify subnet mask and everything, right? So we have 128, 64, 32. So this is around 8 octet, right? So starting from 1, you double it, it is 2. You double it, it is 4. 4, you double it, it is 8. Then 16, 32, 64, and 128, right? Now, as in this slide, if you see here, I can see 10, hello, 10.1.2.3, okay? We have this many binary addresses there, okay? Now, how did we came to this conclusion, okay? That's what we're going to see. So let's assume we have a number of 150, okay? So what you do is, okay, this will be much better. We have a value of 167, okay? Now, what is happening here? So we need to convert this value 167 into binary. So the first rule is you need to check whether 167 is equal to or greater than 128. Now, just be careful, pay attention to this because we are getting more in detail now. Okay, so we need to convert. What is our agenda? We need to convert 167 into binary. Now, how are we going to do it? We know 167 is greater than 128. Okay, the rule is whichever number, if you want to convert it to binary, you have to go from 128, 64 like this. From here, you need to go from right to left. Sorry, left to right, you need to go, right? So in this case, 167 is greater than 128. Okay, now we'll put a 1 over there. Here is 1. Okay, go to the next slide. Now what is remaining? 39 is the remaining number. How we came to 39? We are minusing 167. It's minus with 128. We get 39. Okay, now pending number is 39 now. Okay, quite easy as well, but just pay attention. Now we are in octet 2. Now we need to identify whether 39 is greater than or equal to 64. Now you tell me 64 is higher. Now what we'll do, we'll put a 0 over there. Okay, now 10 is there. Now again, what is we need to go to the next octet, that is 34. Is 39 greater than equal to 32? It is, yes. So what we'll do, 39 minus 32. Okay, what will the value? 7 is pending. Okay, we'll put a mark 1 here. So let's go to the next slide and see how it is. Okay, what does it say? Yeah, so 39 is equal to or greater than 32. Yes, we are placing 1 here. Now what we got, 1 is 32, pending is 7. So 39 minus 32, pending is 7. Now we need to see, is 7 greater than or equal to 16? The answer is 0 here because it is greater than 7. It is 0. Now we again move to 8. Okay, what it is, 7 is greater than or equal to 8? No, we'll put here 0. Okay, now again we'll go to 4. Now we'll see, is 7 greater than or equal to 4? We'll know, yeah, 7 is greater than 4. Now what we'll do, 7 minus 4, we get 3, that is a carryover. We'll put 1 here. Let's see if the answer is correct or not. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. What is it? Is 7 or equal to greater than 16? No. We place 0 here. We place 0 here. Okay. Now is 7 or equal to or greater than 8? No. We put a 0 here. Now we came to this 6th octet. Now what it is saying? Is 7 equal to or greater than 4? Then it is yes. We are placing 1 here. Balance is 3. Now again we'll go to the next octet. Is 3 greater than or equal to 2? Yes. So what we'll do? We'll put a 1 here. 3 minus 2 is pending 1. Okay. Now what will happen? We'll put, so last is 1 is equal to 1. So we'll put a 1. Okay. Now, did anybody got what I said, or is it like totally blank? Guys, or was it too fast?
No, it's good, but it's a bit confused as well.
Yeah, as expected. Yes. So what happens is, I'll open my paint. Let's open our paint and see. It's simple, but when you get a hold of it, then you will think, okay, Ari, this is very simple, right? One. Okay, don't say. Now we have, let's open this. Okay, 128. What is the next number, guys?
42, 16, 8,
Okay,
4,
okay,
2,
2 and 1. Right, cool. Yes. Now this is our what do you say, our reference here. Okay. Now we have our number. Let's keep it 68. Okay, we'll make it very simple. Now we need to convert this number 68 into binary. Okay. Now okay, cool. Now we need to convert this 68 to binary. The first rule is we'll have to go from left to right. This is our way of how we are trying to verify whether the flow should be from left to right. Okay. Now we know our value is 68. Okay. Now first thing is like, is 68 greater than 128? Guys, we have to tell this.
68 is less than 128.
So what will be the value that we will be keeping here?
0.
Okay, 0. Cool. Now is 68 greater than 64?
Yeah, yes.
It's greater than 64. Then what will the value that we'll be
1.
keeping here?
1.
Cool. That is 1. Now there is an operation that we need to do, right? What it is? 68 minus 4, correct? 68 minus 64. How many is pending? 4
It's
is
4.
pending.
Yeah.
Correct. Right. Now we have 4. Is 4 greater than 32?
Less than 32.
So
So
the
it's
value will be 0. Cool. Now is 4 greater than 16? No. The value will be
0.
0. Is 4 greater than 8?
0.
0. Is 4 greater than or equal to 4? Yes. The value is 1.
1.
Test is what? 0 and then 0. So Was it clear now?
yes.
Guys, all clear? We are good with
Yes,
this?
yes, it is. Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's clear now. Yeah.
Cool. It's clear now. Great. Okay. So this is very important. People won't be asking much about how we're going to convert. They will not ask you to, okay, you're coming the interview. They will not ask you to convert binary number. This is for understanding sake. Because based on this, we will be having one point where you will understand what's happening actually. Okay, that's why. Now we go to next slide. We have completed this. We got to know how the binary conversion is happening. Now we have the reverse way. How are we going to know if this value, what this value is? Okay. I want someone to explain me in the class what will be the value. I mean, value is 91, right? But I'll give another example, but I want people to tell me how that value will be, what that binary value will come in the last. Okay. Let's see. Just for practice, guys, just for understanding, I'm just sharing. Okay. Who in our session is confident enough to give me an answer for this? Anybody? Any volunteers? I want some volunteers here. Nobody is there. This is the binary number here. Okay. I want to know the number, the actual number for this one, right? Previously, we converted 68 into binary. Now, I need to know this binary number, what will be the value? Can anybody tell me?
212.
212. Okay, yeah, we have. All right, yes, 212. Okay, cool, great. So that means I don't need to take that part. No, you already got to know. Okay, cool. So now we know how we are going to change IPs, sorry, number to binary and binary to number, right? Now, how the numbering will happen? So in our IPv4 format, right? So as mentioned here, we have 10, 1, 2, 3, 10.1.2.3, right? Now I want you to just think over it. Even if it is a wrong answer, no problem at all. It's the learning phase. Just tell me that which subnet it belongs to. Guys,
255.0.0.0.
I'm sorry. Your voice was feeble actually. Okay. We have Gamajeti saying it is /8. Anybody else who's have a different answer? Pasava is saying that 255.0.0. Okay. Anybody else who is saying a different answer? I want a different answer. All are saying that it is /8. Are we sure? Are we 100% sure on this? Hello? Why so silent? Come on, guys. Unmute yourself and start speaking.
I think it's correct. 255.0.0.0.
Okay. Cool. Now, I think it was Karthik, right? Who said it? We have almost everyone has said that correct answer. Now I want you, Karthik, to know how did you came to that conclusion that it is 255.0.0 or it is /8?
Like By seeing the subnet mask here, all ones should be the like the global network, right? The final one, 255. Like guess,
Correct.
just it's a
Correct.
guess, a common.
Correct. When what you thought is correct, he said like all in the first octet, all are 1. Okay. Now we just completed that. If all are 1, we calculate, we are adding all what it is. That is 255, right? So here we are having all ones. That means this is /8. Okay. Now another question. Just for now, just to make everything clear. Now let's assume we have 1 1 and rest all 0. On the second octet we have 1 1 and rest all are 0. What will be the subnet then? Any idea?
255.192.0.0.
255.
190, 192.
Okay, now I want Sisha to explain me how did you came to that conclusion?
Yeah, here first all are ones, right? If you sum all ones, then we'll get 255.
Okay.
Then next, as 1 remaining rest of 0. So 1 is comes 128 plus 64. Then by adding these two, we'll get 192.
Correct. So
Then
that was the right answer actually. So anybody else who didn't understand what Srisha just told can just raise a hand, or no, you can just speak up and let me know. Guys. Hello. All are okay? All knew about this one? Okay, anyways, I'll just explain what she meant now. What she said is like, okay, we for first octet we all have 1, right? So what we did, we just added all the 128, 164, all this we added, we got 255. So that is first octet is already there in the subnet. Now what I said is, now in this case I'm adding on the second octet I have value of 1 1 and then rest are 0. Okay, you are having 2 bits added there. Okay, now what will be the subnet? That was my question. What Srisha told is, in this case we'll have 128 1 here and then another 1 here. 128 plus 64 is 192. So it will be 255.192.0.0. Okay. Now is it clear? I'm expecting this was clear, guys. Cool. Clear. All right. So
So one question.
yeah, sure.
So if it's like 255.192.0.0, that is like 10 bits. So can we write that like /10?
That is coming in the next section. I'll tell you about it. Just don't
Okay.
want to confuse it. That's the reason I'm taking very slowly.
Okay.
Okay. Now we understood this one. Okay. We already discussed about. Oh, okay. Now in this case, we earlier we discussed about private and public IPs. In that private IP, we mentioned, right, class A, we have class A, class B, class C, and class C and class E, right? So 1 to 126. So class A is always /8 notation. When you say /8 notation, that is the IP subnet mask will be 255.0.0.0. Okay. Now, when it is class B, it will be /16. That is 8 plus 8, 16, 255.255.0.0. Okay. Now, when it is class C, what will happen is 255.255.255.0 again. So interviewer might ask you and say, okay, I have a class C. What is the subnet mask of that? Now, you know that if it is class C, starting from 192 till 223, the value is, the subnet mask is /24, that is 255.255.255.0. Just be mindful of this one. This is also an interview question. We might get an interview question based on this, right? What is the subnet mask for this IP address? Okay, so let's assume we have an IP address 192.168.10.1. What is the subnet mask of which class it belongs to, and what is the subnet mask of it? They will ask it. Okay, so make sure you are aware of this. Okay, was this clear? It should not be much of a hectic thing, a simple thing that you need to make note of. Okay, so values, I mean, the IPs will start from 1 to 126, okay, 128 till 191, and 192 from 223. These are the IPs. We need to memorize it. Okay, now the other one is that 224-239, that is the multicast address actually. So basically, in our networking environment, there is a separate segment itself for multicast, where you know actually talks about lives. I mean, when you are trying to fetch any data from some other, let's say you are trying to access Netflix, right? When you access Netflix, how it is working, it is based on multicast. So, so these IPs are basically multicast address, and there are multicast address as well, which is used by the routing protocols. Okay, so just keep a note of it. Now, even if you don't know what is class E as an experimental thing, experimental IP address zone. I mean, if you don't know, if you're not answering, that does not make sense. Should be fine. But at least the first 4 you should be able to answer when someone asks the question. Okay. Now we have, so every IPs are in a what to say, in continuous way, but we don't see 127 here. Why is that? Because 127 is the IP that is used for loopback address. Okay, what is a loopback address, how it is working, I'll tell you later in the course, but just try to understand that loopback is something that is very important in a networking technologies or networking environment, because it's just a dummy IP. Okay, not connected to any of the interface. It is a virtual IP. Just think of it like this, a virtual IP, that's it. Okay, now there is one more thing called APIPA IP. Now, does anybody in the class know what is an APIPA IP? Automatic Private IP Assignment. What is that? And what is the possible reason that you're getting an APIPA IP? Anybody knows?
It's the IP which we'll be getting when the host is not connected to the DHCP.
Correct. Not connected to DHCP, you will not be getting any IP. That's the only thing. But the point
Like
is,
when it's not communicating to the DHCP.
right. So you are now in your when you are working in such kind of an environment, most of the time when the user is saying, okay, I'm not able to connect to the internet, the first thing you need to check that is the user getting an APIPA IP or not. So what is the APIPA? So I need to check the subnet one.
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
What I'm trying to say is, if um, there are two, when you're working in any of the companies, right? And this is also an interview question, that when a user says, okay, I'm not able to get to the internet, okay, the first thing that you need to check is the user getting an APIPA IP or not? Okay. Now, why is that? Because if sometimes what will happen is the user has connected to his wireless or wired network, but for DHCP server is not giving that IP to that user. For guys who doesn't know what DHCP server it is, no worries. That is all will be covered in the upcoming sessions. Okay, just understand this. DHCP server is something. It's a device that gives IP to the what you say host. You can just think of it like that. Okay. So in a whole, you can assign IP manually, right? Or you can get the IP directly from the DHCP server. Okay, there are two ways of doing it. I'll show you how it is. So in here, if you're able to see my screen here, right? You guys are able to see my screen, right? This network connection thing,
Yes, sir.
guys. Okay. So here I've seen, right? Okay, I have this use the following IP address. So I can manually give the IPs here. Whatever IP I want, you can give the so I can give any IPs I want here, okay, and save it. And if that IP is, if the IP is correct, we'll be able to get the internet. Now the other way is that you can click on obtain IP automatically. When you click on obtain IP automatically, what will happen is it will try to fetch for the DHCP server and try to get an IP address. And the DHCP server will try to give an IP address. There is a process for that. I'm not going in that detail. First, try to understand that in a device, you can assign an IP address statically. You can get an IP address by DHCP via DHCP server. Okay, now you might be thinking, does a Wi-Fi router has a DHCP server? It doesn't have a DHCP server. It acts as a DHCP server. Okay, it releases the IP to the user. There is an option. If you could go into the GUI of a router, you will have an option in GUI where you can lease the IP, whichever IP you want. Okay, so that is there. I hope this point is clear, right? So see, PIPA IP range starts from 169.254.0.1 till 254. Okay, this is the PIPA IP range. If you get any IP starting from this range, okay, you will not be able to, the device will not be able to communicate. So why is that? Why you're getting that PIPA IP? It is because that the device is not able to communicate with the server and it is not getting an IP, proper IP. Okay, or the DHCP server has exhausted its DHCP pool of IP and it is not able to give that IP. And for some other additional, maybe because of the device issue itself, sometimes we have that. Okay. Now, troubleshooting aspect, we'll talk about it later, but let's stick on to this one. So everybody understood what PIPA IP is? Anybody has any questions?
No, sir, nothing. Sir.
Okay. Now, we have IPv4 subnetting concept. Let's see, it's already 10:25. Okay, what we'll do is we'll stop at this. Okay. I want you guys to think over what we have learned. Okay. We have another 5 minutes from tomorrow. We'll start with IPv4 subnetting. This is the very interesting part. Anil, your question will be answered here. Okay. In this next separate topic that we're going to. So this is quite vast. So I will not be able to complete in this session. Okay. That's why. Anil, is that okay? We can have this. Your question will be answered on.
Yeah, it's okay, sir. Yeah.
I noted your question. Okay. I'll start your session with your question.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, we have another 5 minutes. So guys, any questions that you have in your mind, you can come up and let me know. Any feedback as said you want, you can tell that. And any doubts you want to clear, you can come up. It's an open forum. Anyone can speak. Okay, everybody is so silent. I think nobody has doubts. So shall I ask you a question to you guys? If you're very clear with the concepts. Nobody's raising and nobody's saying anything. What happened? Srisha, Vaibhav, Vinay, Ravi, Ravindra. Okay. Ravindra is asking that you can ask question. Very confident. Okay. So what question shall I ask? Okay. Let's just ask an interview question, right? Okay. Anybody can answer, not limited to Ravindra. Like one of the user is connected his laptop to his switch and is trying to access it. Okay. Access the internet. And why? And for some reason he's not able to get the internet. He's trying all the things. You as a network engineer, you are trying to you're trying to troubleshoot this issue. What will be your approach and how you're going to troubleshoot this issue? What are the possible issues that you can see, guys?
The basic troubleshooting can be like, first of all, if his laptop is at the particular IP or not.
Particular IP or not? Okay, one, right? What particular IP you're asking?
Like whatever the IP we have allocated to the user, that should be present in his laptop as well.
So, okay, as a user, I'm saying that, okay, IP is same, but still I'm not able to connect to the internet. Why is that? Guys, I have the IP configured that is required.
Okay.
What will you see in your, as a troubleshooting? What all things you will see? User is saying that IP is correct. I'm getting the same, I'm getting 10.1.1.10. What all things you'll check? You have the remote of this router, sorry, the laptop. You're checking his laptop. What all things you're going to check? Okay, Basava is saying subnet. Okay, the subnet is also correct. It's a /24 subnet. I made 2255.255.255.0. Are we missing anything else in that? Okay, here Vinay is saying that maybe pad or switch port is error disabled or MAC address not whitelisted in the ICE. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's too technical. Maybe I don't want that much of answer. We're not reached that level. Okay, but still, yes. Computer is in private network. Yeah, I mean, that's the private network range. Subnet is same, but still I'm not able to connect to the internet. Why is that? Did we check? Does anybody know what a gateway IP is? Or is a gateway IP needed? Did we check that?
Gateway may be the starting point of that particular IP.
Correct. Not exactly starting point. It is the, well, depends. You can keep any of the gateway IP, but gateway IP is something. So in all your environment, right? All your enterprise environment will be having gateway IP. Okay. For in this case, it is a DSAP, so probably you will not be able to see a gateway IP here. But ideally, in your enterprise environment, you will have to have a gateway IP. Probably that is the case. You need to check whether the gateway IP is been trampled with. Maybe the user is saying that I have got the correct IP, I got the correct subnet, but this gateway IP is different. That is one reason that you are not able to connect the internet. Now, what all could be other reason? We verify that this is all good. Now we see that cable is good or not. Okay, we check the cable is good. Then what is the next thing we discussed yesterday that we need to check? What kind of cable do we need to have? From switch to PC, what kind of cable we need to have? Should we have a crossover cable or a straight through cable? Basava? Okay, straight through cable. Vinay is saying straight through cable. So all these things we need to check as a network engineer, whether all these things are done or not. Okay, based on that. So Vinay gave me some interesting answers like the cable is bad. Okay, that we discussed. Switch port error is disabled. MAC address is not whitelisted in the eyes. All these are correct, but probably for the guys who are new to CCNA, they might not be understanding it. So that's why that is also a good answer. Okay, Vinay. All right. So cool. I think we are good for today. Tomorrow again we'll start with the next pointers, that is the subnetting part. Very interesting thing. Okay. We'll hang around tomorrow. I think we should be able to complete this IP part. Till now, is everything good? I mean, I want your feedback. I mean, the way I'm teaching, or is there anything that you want to improve? Let me know. Let Sachi know about it. Okay. And any questions that you have, tomorrow just prepare the questions, come back to me, we'll have a session on that. Okay, cool. All good then, guys? Karthik, Anil, Vaibhav. All right then, I got a thumbs up.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It's okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right then, see you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night. Right.
Good night.